The galaxy was never a quiet place. Stars burned, planets moved, ships flew between worlds like birds in an endless sky. And in the shadows of space, wars never truly stopped. There were empires that ruled with iron claws. There were pirates that hunted lonely ships. There were mercenaries, bounty hunters, and scavengers, all ready to take from the weak. Every planet knew the rule: if you cannot defend yourself, you will not last long. Every planet, except one, for centuries, Earth, had remained untouched. It was not the richest world. It was not the most powerful, and yet no one attacked it. New alien races noticed this odd detail every time they studied the galactic maps. There it was, a small blue planet circling an average yellow star in a quiet arm of the Milky Way. It had no huge fleets, no grand fortresses, no galactic alliances that were publicly known, and still Earth stood free. Many called it luck. Others whispered that there was a reason no one dared to go near. But no one agreed on what that reason was. A small research vessel from the Groltok species was the latest to notice this mystery. Captain Tharos sat in his command chair, his 4 black eyes focused on the glowing image of the galaxy. "There it is again," he muttered, "this Earth." His first officer, Jack, leaned closer to the display. A backwater world. Their technology is primitive compared to us. Their military strength is almost laughable. And yet, Tharos said slowly, no one attacks them. Jack gave a low, rumbling laugh. Perhaps they are not worth attacking. Tharos tapped the screen with a long, clawed finger. No, Jack, this is not how the galaxy works. Weak planets are eaten. That is the way of life. And yet this one remains whole. The ship's navigator, a young Graltok named Sierra, spoke up. "I have read the archives, Captain. There are stories, unconfirmed, of ships that tried to approach Earth and never returned." "Stories," Jack said, with a wave of his hand. "Superstitions spread by cowards." But Tharos did not dismiss it so easily. He had been a captain long enough to know that sometimes the most unbelievable stories carried a seed of truth. The Groltok were not afraid of rumors. They were explorers and sometimes raiders, and they had faced enemies far stronger than humans could ever be. If Earth was truly defenseless, then it could be studied, perhaps even taken. And so Tharos gave the order: set a course for the Sol system. Let us see this Earth for ourselves. The crew moved quickly. Engines hummed. The ship turned toward a quiet corner of the galaxy, and in seconds the stars stretched into long, thin lines as the vessel entered faster than light travel. For days they traveled through the cold, dark of space. Along the way, Tharos studied every piece of information available on humans. They were strange creatures, 2-legged, soft-skinned, with no claws, no natural armor. They breathed oxygen, drank water, and could be injured easily, and yet their history was full of wars and survival. They fight each other more than they fight outsiders, Jack noted, reading over the captain's shoulder. How can such a divided species be dangerous? Tharos closed the file. We will find out soon enough. When they arrived at the edge of the Sol system, the crew was surprised. Sarah looked at her readings. "Captain, there are almost no large warships here. The system is not heavily guarded. I can detect satellites, but their technology is primitive." Jack grinned. "It is, as I said, an easy target." But Tharos's eyes narrowed. "Do not assume." They passed by the gas giant Jupiter, its swirling clouds, a giant storm frozen in time, and headed toward the third planet from the sun. The ship's sensors began to focus, and then something odd happened. Captain, Sierra's voice was tight. Our long-range scans are being interrupted. Tharos turned to her. By what? I am not sure. There's no visible source, but the interference is targeted. It's as if something knows we are here. Jack frowned. Impossible. They do not have the technology to detect us at this distance. Yet the interference grew stronger. As they approached, the screens flickered for a moment before clearing again. On the main view, Earth appeared, a swirl of blue oceans, green lands, and white clouds. It looked peaceful, fragile, harmless, but Tharos felt something else, something he could not explain. There was a stillness to the planet, like a predator waiting under calm water. He had seen this before in dangerous creatures, the quiet. Before the strike, we will enter orbit, Tharos ordered. Activate deep scans. The ship moved closer, slipping past the moon's pale light, and then locked into orbit above Earth. Scanners began their work, sweeping over the continents, cities, and oceans. What they saw was ordinary. Humans walked the streets, cars moved. Along roads, airplanes crossed the skies. There were no signs of heavy military presence, no massive energy shields, no fleets waiting in hiding. Jack laughed again. All this mystery, and for what? A planet full of soft creatures playing with toys. Tharos didn't answer. He was staring at one of the readouts. Captain, Sierra asked. Look at these energy readings, Tharos said. They are not consistent. They shift, change, disappear. Could be atmospheric interference, Jack suggested. No, Tharos said quietly. Something here is watching us. The bridge fell silent. A faint sound came through the ship's cum. System, a static whisper. At first, it was nothing but noise. Then, slowly, it became words. A human voice, calm, confident. We know you were here. Leave. The crew froze. Impossible, Sierra whispered. We didn't send any signal. How could they? Tharos leaned back in his chair. His instincts, sharp from years of command, screamed a warning. This was no ordinary planet, and for the first time, the Groltok captain began to wonder if the stories were true. The bridge of the Groltok vessel was silent after the human voice faded. No alarms, no weapons firing, no aggressive moves from Earth. Just those 4 calm words. We know you are here. Leave. It was not a threat. It was not a plea. It was a statement. Captain Tharos's eyes stayed fixed on the cum panel, traced the signal. Sierra's fingers danced over the controls. I can't. It's coming from everywhere. Multiple sources at once. The signal bounces between satellites, towers, and even something underground. Jack crossed his arms. They are bluffing. They cannot possibly see us clearly. We have cloaking fields engaged. Tharos didn't answer. He knew when prey was pretending to be strong, but this did not feel like prey. This felt different. Captain Sarah said carefully, "Do we respond?" Tharos thought for a long moment. "No, let us test them instead." He gave the order. Launch a small recon probe. It was a fast, stealth unit, invisible to most detection systems, designed to slip into enemy airspace, scan, and return in minutes. The probe shot away from the ship, its engines almost silent. On the screens, the crew watched as it entered. The upper atmosphere, Clouds drifted past the camera lens. Below, green forests and blue seas stretched out in all directions. Approaching target zone, Sira reported. We will scan one of their major cities. This should tell us. She stopped. The camera feed went black. What happened? Tharos demanded. Sira's voice was shaky now. The probe is gone. No signal, no debris, no trace. It simply vanished. Jack slammed his fist against the console. Sabotage. A malfunction. Tharos shook his head. No, that was deliberate. He rose from his chair and looked at the planet below. They warned us once. Then they took our probe without firing a single visible shot. For the first time, a strange feeling passed through the crew, something they were not used to. It was not fear, not yet, but the sharp edge of unease. Sara broke the silence. Captain, maybe we should leave. This is not worth. No, Tharos said firmly. We do not run from shadows. If they want us gone, they will have to show themselves. He ordered the ship into a lower orbit, close enough to study human activity in detail. They moved over continents, observing cities, rivers, and mountains. And that's when they noticed something else. Look at them, Jack said, pointing at the displays. They live in separate nations, different languages, different governments. They are not united. This is not a war-ready species. Tharos leaned forward. Perhaps their division is the disguise. They saw human soldiers marching. In training fields, naval fleets, in harbors, airplanes patrolling skies. Small compared to galactic fleets, yes, but purposeful and scattered across the planet, in places far from human eyes. Strange structures were buried in the ground. The scanners could not fully identify them. The readings were blocked by some unknown field. Could be ancient ruins, Jack said. Or weapons, Tharos replied. At that moment, Sira's console lit up. Captain, incoming transmission. Again, the voice returned. The same calm tone, the same control. Do not test us. No introduction. No demands. Just that simple warning. Tharos decided to push further. Open a channel, he ordered. The crew exchanged nervous glances but obeyed. The captain spoke in clear, formal galactic trade language. This is Captain Tharos of the Groltok vessel. Silent Fang. We come in peace. But we are curious about your world. There was a pause. Then, to everyone's shock, the human voice answered in perfect Groltok language. Curiosity is dangerous here. Tharos felt a cold shiver run down his spine. How do you speak our language? The voice replied, almost amused. We learn fast. Sira whispered to Jack. That's impossible. Our language is complex. It takes cycles to silence. Tharos ordered, his eyes locked on the console. Who are you? The answer was simple. We are Earth. No name, no rank, no single leader speaking. Just Earth, as if the entire planet was one mind speaking to them. The channel cut off. No further messages came. The bridge was silent again, except for the faint hum of the engines. GKK finally broke the tension. They are trying to intimidate us, that is all. Tharos did not agree, but he did not argue. Instead, he gave a new order. We will investigate their history. I want every record we can find about these humans. If they are truly dangerous, it will be written in their past. Within hours, the ship's AI began pulling data from open human networks, news archives, books, videos, records of wars. What they found was unusual, Captain. Sira's voice was unsteady again. Their history is full of conflict. They have fought wars for thousands of years, against enemies stronger than themselves. They have survived disease, famine, disasters, even their own weapons of mass destruction. Jack frowned. So they are violent. That does not make them a threat to us. Tharos shook his head slowly. No, but it makes them something. Worse for an invader. He pointed to one record. A war where humans, heavily outnumbered, fought back until their enemies collapsed. Another showed how humans turned everyday tools into weapons during an invasion. Another described how they rebuilt cities destroyed by bombs. In less than a decade. They do not stop, Tharos said quietly. They adapt. They endure. Just then, the ship's lights dimmed for half a second. Everyone turned to the engineers. Station, no damage, the engineer reported. But something just scanned us. Tharos's eyes narrowed. From where? The engineer swallowed. From the planet. The captain stood still for a long moment, then gave a simple command. Prepare the crew. This may be more than curiosity. From the viewing window, Earth hung in the darkness of space, silent and still, but in that silence, Tharos felt the same thing he had felt before, the quiet of a creditor, waiting for the right moment to strike, and for the first time in his career, he wondered if they were the ones being hunted. The crew of the Silent Fang did not sleep that cycle. They worked in silence, scanning, searching, digging into every piece of human history they could find. The data kept coming, and with it, an unease none of them wanted to admit. Humans had a pattern. When they were threatened, they fought. When they were losing, they adapted. And when they were cornered, they became unpredictable. Tharos had seen such species before, but never one so fragile looking. GKK broke the quiet. Captain, we have not yet confirmed if they are truly dangerous. What if they simply pretend? Tharos glanced at him. If they pretend this well, then they are even more dangerous. Fear is a weapon, and they wield it without showing a blade. Sira's console beeped softly. Captain, incoming message. This one is direct, only to us. The crew leaned in. The voice was the same as before, calm, steady, without emotion. We asked you to leave. This is your final warning. Tharos folded his arms. And if we do not? He asked into the cum. There was a pause. Then the voice answered. Then, you will learn why no one comes here twice. The channel went dead. No threats of weapons, no shouting, no display of power. Just a promise, Jack scoffed. This is posturing, Captain. We should ignore it. But Tharos did not ignore his instincts. Perhaps, but they know we are here. They watch us, and they control the pace of this conversation. That is not weakness. To break the tension, Jack suggested sending another probe, this time armed and shielded. Tharos allowed it, but ordered Sarah to watch closely for any response. The probe descended into Earth's atmosphere. Its scanners active, shields at full strength. The crew watched it move over a large ocean and toward a coastal city. Shields holding, Sira reported. Data streams stable. No interference so far. Then, everything stopped. The probe's readings froze mid-frame. No movement, no sound. What happened? Tharos demanded. Sarah stared at her screen. Captain, the probe is still transmitting, but it's seeing nothing. Just black. Pull it back. I can't. Something has locked it in place. And then the feed returned. The crew gasped. The view was no longer of the city. Instead, a single human stood in front of the camera, tall, plain clothes, no armor, no weapon. But the human looked directly into the lens, as if staring into the eyes of every crew member aboard the Silent Fang. When the human spoke, the voice was the same as the one on the come. "You are still here," Jack hissed. "Impossible." "How did they?" the human continued. "You send machines, we remove them. You send weapons, we take them. If you send yourselves, you will not return." And then the feed cut off. The probe never came back. Silence filled the bridge. Even Jack had no words this time. Sierra spoke in a low voice. "Captain, this is not normal planetary defense. This is something else. Something we don't understand." Tharos nodded slowly, agreed. "But we will understand it. I will not leave without answers." He ordered the ship to shift orbit, moving over remote areas far from human cities. They scanned mountain ranges, deep forests, frozen ice caps. What they found was strange signals, faint but structured, hidden beneath the ground. They did not match any known technology in the galactic database. "It's everywhere," Sarah said. "Across the planet, even in uninhabited regions," almost as if she hesitated, "as if the whole planet is wired." Tharos finished for her. The captain had seen planetary defense grids before, massive shield generators, orbital gun platforms, fighter swarms. But Earth's system was invisible, hidden in plain sight. Not a show of power, but a whisper that promised destruction if provoked. And that was the most dangerous kind of defense. Later, while reviewing intercepted human transmissions, Sierra found something else. "Captain, look at this," she said, displaying a video from Earth's open networks. It showed humans launching spacecraft, crude by galactic standards, but improving quickly. They had reached their own moon decades ago. They had sent machines to other planets, and they were building more every year. "They are expanding," Tharos said, "slowly but steadily. And when they arrive among the stars..." He didn't finish the sentence. He didn't have to. The crew understood. That night cycle, as the ship drifted in low orbit, the warning came again. This time, there was no voice. No sound. Every system on the Silent Fang went dark for exactly 3 seconds. Lights, engines, scanners, all dead. And then, they came back, fully functional, as if nothing had happened. The engineer checked his console, panic in his voice. "Captain, all logs of those 3 seconds are gone, deleted." Jack looked around the bridge. "They just shut us off, like we were a light switch." Tharos sat in silence for a long time. Then he spoke softly, almost to himself. "They can touch us whenever they wish. They choose not to. That is their warning." The crew finally understood what Sierra had felt from the beginning. This was not a weak planet pretending to be strong. This was a predator pretending to be harmless, and the most dangerous predators always waited until you stepped too close. Far below, on the surface of Earth, billions of humans continued their lives, unaware that an alien ship hung above them. Or perhaps they were not unaware at all. The Silent Fang drifted in the shadow of Earth's moon. The crew had stopped arguing. They no longer mocked the humans, and no one called them primitive now. The warnings had changed something inside them, a quiet, heavy awareness that this mission was no longer just exploration. It was survival. Captain Tharos stood in front of the main display. "History," he said to Sierra. "I want it all. Every war, every victory, every loss, dig deeper than before. Sira nodded. She no longer asked why. Hours later, the first records appeared. Videos, writings, photographs, all from human archives. They began at the earliest wars, when humans fought with sticks and stones. Even then, Tharos noticed something unusual. They fight in groups, he said. Even with no armor, they protect each other. The images changed. Now they fought with metal swords and arrows, their bodies covered in armor, their banners flying high. Sometimes they lost, but when they did, they returned stronger. They learn, Tharos observed. Every defeat becomes a lesson. Every enemy becomes a teacher. Jack frowned. Many species learn from war. Tharos pointed at one record. Not like this. Look here. They face an army twice their size, outnumbered and surrounded, and yet they win. Not because of stronger weapons, but because of strategy, deception, ambushes. As the years in the records passed, humans built ships to cross oceans. They carried war across the world. And when they faced forces with better technology, gunpowder, cannons, they stole the idea, copied it, improved it. They take what works and make it their own, Sarah said softly. They don't care about pride, only results. Tharos nodded. That is rare. Most species cling to their traditions, even when it makes them weak. The archives moved forward to the last few centuries. Now the wars were global. Humans built machines of steel, tanks, bombers, submarines. They created weapons that could destroy entire cities in seconds. And then they actually used them. Voice was low now. This is madness. They almost destroyed themselves. Yes, Tharos agreed. And yet they survived. They rebuilt. And they built faster than before. Sira brought up a new set of files, this time about peace. She showed humans landing on their moon, sending machines to other planets, building networks to connect the entire world. This is strange, she said. They can be both destroyers and builders. They fight endlessly, but they also create wonders. Tharos leaned closer to the screen. This is why they are dangerous. They are not just soldiers. They are thinkers, inventors, dreamers. You cannot predict them. The crew fell silent again. The evidence was clear. Humans were not the most advanced species in the galaxy, but they were the most adaptable. Sarah spoke carefully. Captain, if they unite, if they turn all their strength toward the stars, nothing will stop them. Did not answer. He was watching one final record, a war in which humans, surrounded and nearly defeated, had fought until their last soldier fell. The enemy had thought it was over. But months later, scattered survivors returned, striking from shadows. Forcing the enemy to leave, they fight even after losing, Tharos said quietly. They refuse to surrender. They turned defeat into a weapon. At that moment, the ship's proximity alarm sounded. Contact, Sira called out. Multiple objects launching from the planet's surface. Weapons, fighters. The crew rushed to their stations, but the readings confused them. The objects were small, not built for combat. They were satellites. They are placing them in orbit around their own planet, Sarah reported, but some are moving in patterns I do not understand. Jack grunted. Communication relays. No, Tharos said. Look at the configuration. They are watching us. Every move we make. The captain finally understood something he had felt since arriving Earth was not reacting to their presence. It had prepared for it long ago. Captain, Sira said, her voice tight, there's more. These satellites are using frequencies I have never seen. The encryption is beyond anything in our database. It's almost alive. Tharos stared at the blue and green planet below. This is no coincidence. They are showing us this. As if to prove his words, the system came alive again. The same voice. Calm, we see you have studied us. That is wise. Now you understand why you will leave. Tharos asked the question that had been burning inside him. Why? Why do you hide your strength? Why not show the galaxy what you can do? There was a pause. Then the voice answered, because fear works better than war. The channel closed. The crew sat frozen. In all their travels, they had never met a species that weaponized mystery itself. Sira whispered, they don't even need to fight us. We're already thinking about leaving. Jack, for once, did not argue. Tharos stood. We are not leaving. Not yet. There is still one more thing I need to know. What is their real defense? Is it technology, allies, something else? He looked down at Earth, his eyes narrowing. We find that answer, and then we decide. Far below, in a quiet room somewhere on Earth, a man closed a secure channel and smiled. They're curious, he said to the others in the room. Good, that means they'll stay. Just long enough to see what we want them to see. The Silent Fang stayed in Earth's orbit for another full cycle. Captain Tharos didn't move them away, nor did he order weapons ready. Instead, he watched Dot, and Earth watched back. The crew felt it. Every time they scanned the planet, the readings were clean for a moment, then shifted, as if someone down there adjusted what they were. Allowed to see. It's like looking into a mirror, Sira said quietly. But the mirror decides what reflection to give you. Tharos ordered a different approach. No more scanning from orbit. We send a stealth lander. No signals, no transmissions. I want eyes on the ground. The lander launched silently, slipping through the atmosphere under the cover of night. From the small onboard cameras, the crew saw forests, rivers, mountains. The craft landed in an isolated valley far from any human city. At first, there was nothing unusual. Tall trees swayed in the wind. A river cut through the valley floor. Then, as the camera panned, they saw it. A structure half buried in the hillside. It looked like natural rock, until a panel slid open and something inside pulsed with blue light. Energy reading, Tharos asked. Sira's eyes widened. Captain, it's huge. Enough to power a city, or a weapon array. Before they could study further, the lander's feed flickered. The camera went dark, then came back. Now the valley was empty. No structure, no glowing light, only untouched rock and trees. What? Jack growled. It was there. It was there, Tharos said calmly, and they made it disappear. Not destroyed, hidden. He had seen camouflage tech before, holograms, cloaking fields, but this was different. This was perfect. The humans weren't just hiding weapons. They were hiding the fact that they had weapons at all. Captain, Sira said, her voice low, what if there are hundreds of these, all over the planet? Tharos didn't answer. He ordered the lander to move. Hours later, it found another site, this time in a frozen wasteland near the southern pole. A tall metallic spire jutted out from the ice, faintly glowing. The moment the camera zoomed in, the image blurred, and the spire was gone. The ice was smooth again. They control perception, Tharos muttered. not just hiding from sensors, but hiding from the mind. Jack frowned. Then how are we seeing them at all? Tharos's gaze was cold. Because they want us to see just enough. Back on the bridge, Sierra brought up something even more alarming. Intercepted communications from outside Earth. These aren't human signals, she said. They're alien, from other worlds. Tharos studied the patterns. They're encrypted, but not like ours. They're messages between species we know, and some we don't. And all of them mention one thing: Earth. The crew traded glances. This changed everything. If other alien civilizations were in contact with Earth, then the humans had allies, possibly powerful ones. Tharos replayed one decoded phrase: treat them as neutral territory. Violation means war. So that's it, Jack said. They have friends, big ones. Tharos shook his head. Not friends, favors. These signals sound like deals, bargains. The humans have something others want, something worth protecting. Sierra's voice trembled. Captain, if they are so protected, why let us get this close? Tharos thought for a long time. Because they're testing us. They want to know if we'll respect the warning, or force them to act. Then it happened. Without any detected launch, a small object appeared less than 100 meters from the Silent Fang. It wasn't a weapon. It wasn't even a ship. It was a satellite. A perfect sphere of polished metal. No seams, no thrusters, just floating. Its surface reflected Earth's image like a mirror. The moment the crew looked at it, there come systems activated by themselves. The voice came again, calm, steady, almost bored. You have found some of our defenses. You have not found them all. No threat, no anger, just fact. Tharos finally spoke. Why show us any of this? The voice replied, because every hunter needs to know when it is prey. The sphere rotated slowly, then vanished. Not cloaked, gone. Silence filled the bridge. GKK finally said what no one wanted to admit. Captain, we can't win against that. Tharos didn't answer. His mind was on something else, the human's choice to let them leave alive. So far, in the dark below, the lander's feed caught one last glimpse before it too went silent. A massive underground facility, larger than any city, filled with ships unlike anything in human history. Ships ready to fly. Tharos looked at the planet one last time before making his choice. We stay one more day. I need to know if they built those ships for defense. He didn't say the other thought in his mind, or for something far worse, far beneath Earth's surface, in that hidden facility. A woman in a dark uniform turned to her commander. They're still here, she said. The commander smiled faintly. Good. Then the next phase can begin. The Silent Fang had seen enough to know Earth was no ordinary world. But Captain Tharos wasn't ready to leave, not yet. There was still one question he needed answered. Why? Why did the galaxy's predators avoid this weak blue planet? Why were its defenses hidden so well? Why did the humans allow the Silent Fang to come this close without destroying it? The ship remained in high orbit, cloaked, sensors focused. Hours passed with nothing unusual, until the comms lit up again. It wasn't the same calm voice this time. It was a new one, deeper, colder, with the weight of command. Captain Tharos, of the Groltok vessel, Silent Fang. You will listen carefully. What you learn now will decide if you live to leave. The bridge went silent. Even Jack didn't speak. You have studied our history, the voice continued. You have seen our wars. You know we fight without fear. But there is something you have not yet understood. Leaned forward. And what is that? The voice paused, not in hesitation, but in control. We are not alone. The main display flickered. Suddenly, the image of Earth vanished, replaced by a star map. Dozens of red dots appeared across the galaxy, each one pulsing. These are worlds you know, the voice said. Some friendly to you, some not. All have fought us before, and all have lost. Sira whispered, lost. Humans have never. The voice cut her off. Your records say we have never left our system. That is because your records are incomplete. We do not invade. We do not conquer. But when others have come for us, we follow them home. The dots on the map began to vanish one by one. Destroyed, erased. Those worlds are gone now. Not because we desired their destruction, but because they forced our hand. The map faded, replaced again by the image of Earth, still calm. Still beautiful. Tharos tried to keep his voice steady. If you are so powerful, why hide? Why not declare your strength openly? The voice's tone did not change. Because open strength invites challenges. Fear invites silence. The galaxy's predators avoid us because they do not know the limits of our claws. Jack swallowed. You're saying, no one attacks Earth because they don't know how. Strong you really are. Exactly, Sira spoke up, her voice tight. What about those hidden structures, the buried weapons, the ships underground? The voice replied, as if the question amused it. Those are not weapons of defense. They are tools of retaliation. We will not strike first. But if you force us, you will regret breathing. Suddenly, the display changed again. A video feed appeared live. The crew saw one of the massive underground facilities the lander had discovered earlier. Rows of sleek black ships sat ready. Human crews moved between them, carrying weapons unlike anything the Silent Fang had. Ever seen they are building for war? Jack whispered. No, Tharos said slowly. They are building for after war. The voice confirmed it. When war ends, the victor writes history. We ensure that when the galaxy remembers us, it remembers what happens to those who try. Sira's readings suddenly spiked. Captain! Multiple energy signatures incoming. The crew tensed. Were they under attack? No, Tharos said, watching the readings carefully. They're not aiming at us. In the distance, a Groltok raider ship, one they recognized, appeared. At the edge of Earth's system. It hadn't come with the Silent Fang. It was here for its own reasons. Probably to scavenge or test Earth's defenses. Within seconds, the raider sent a probe toward Earth's atmosphere. It never made it. A beam of light, no visible source, struck the probe mid-flight. The probe didn't explode. It simply disintegrated into dust. The raider ship froze in place. Then it turned and fled without a word. The human voice returned. That is why no one comes here twice. Finally understood. Earth didn't just survive attacks, it erased. The attackers so completely that no one dared return. But there was more. Why tell us this? He asked. Why reveal your truth to us? The answer came without hesitation. Because you are. Not here as raiders. You are here as witnesses. And witnesses spread fear. The crew exchanged uneasy looks. They had been part of something larger without even knowing it. The voice delivered one final message. Leave now, Captain Tharos. Tell your people what you have seen. Tell them Earth is not prey. Tell them Earth is the shadow in the forest, the silence before the strike, and remember, we see farther than you think. The comms went dead. The sensors cleared. Earth turned slowly below them, calm and untouched. No one on the bridge spoke for a long time. Finally, Tharos gave the order. Set course away from the Sol system. Maximum speed. Jack opened his mouth to protest, then closed it again. Sarah didn't even look up from her console. She was already plotting the course home, as the Silent Fang slipped back into the cold dark of space. Captain Tharos took one last look at the blue planet shrinking behind them. It was quiet, peaceful, defenseless. To anyone who didn't know the truth, now he knew. And he would make sure the galaxy never forgot. Far below, in a hidden command center, the human commander watched the alien ship depart. "Will they spread the word?" an officer asked. The commander smiled. "Oh yes, and the fear will do the rest."